Hi, and welcome today to Celebrity Customer Experience, Riffs with me, Jill Raff, because I guarantee you that your employee experience will be the leading indicator of your customer experience. And when you create that connection culture within your business, where you have genuine, true, authentic relationships with your people inside your business, the you can hold them accountable and you can count on them to deliver a celebrity customer experience to your paying customers. Thank you for your time today, investing it here with us to grow and about this important theme and topic today of guest experience. Since our show, this episode is called the Guest Experience Ovation, I'd like to welcome my guest today, Zack Oates from Ovation. Welcome,
What's up?
Zack.
Hey, Jill. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Oh, of course, super excited. Zack is the founder and CEO of Ovation. So I'm super excited to have you here. You know, we recently met at a branded after party at National Restaurant Association in Chicago. And when my friend Janice saw you and knowing what both of us do and how we're both driven by CX and the whole human experience, she's like, Jill, you really need to meet Zack. I'm like, well, do you know him? Introduce us. So as soon as we started speaking, it was clear she was 100% right. And as we witnessed, so I just recorded for Ovation, we could just talk forever about this. So I'm going to dive in and let others share and enjoy of what I have with you with all the great conversation.
I know by the way, this is my first doubleheader podcast where I had a home game and now an away game. And I'm excited, Jill.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. When you meet someone who's just, on par and aligned with you in that way, it's so invigorating. I love it. And I love the intentional play. I'm a language person. So I love your intentional play on the perfect word for guest experience, ovation, right? Like who doesn't want to become known for getting a standing ovation?
Amen.
What a great descriptor for your guest experience tool, which helps people and businesses deliver the very best customer experience. And I have to say it, to deliver a celebrity customer experience. Zack is an author, husband, father, entrepreneur, and a hot tub aficionado, but not necessarily in that order. He was voted top 100 entrepreneurs, rang the NASDAQ bell. Pretty cool. Won the world's biggest business competition and started 3 companies. He's received his MBA from BYU and did customer experience consulting for the Fortune 100 companies. He's he's taken his dating experience of more than 1,000 dates, crazy, together with his knowledge gained from his customer experience consulting to start his current venture, Ovation. So Ovation is a guest experience tool for multi-unit restaurants where he serves as the founder and the CEO. So super excited to dive in to really get an understanding about Ovation and how is that tool used, and let's start with how did you even get to this point? Like what's a little bit of your backstory, your journey that brought you into the CX world?
Yeah, so
What's
I
that?
grew up in restaurants. My first job was working at Friendly's. I grew up in New Jersey. And I grew up there because my dad actually played for the Giants. And so it was you know, when he retired, because you retire pro football pretty young. So he was in his 30s when he retired. 14-year career. He did really, really well for himself. And then after he retired, he also became an investor in restaurants. And so there was a restaurant right by us called Pop's Barbecue that we'd go to all the time. So he became an investor in that. And so I grew up seeing from Friendly's perspective, I worked in the kitchen, no connection to my dad or anything. I was just like the grunt kid, working the kitchen, doing the cleaning, making Sundays, always washing my hands between those two, by the way. And then seeing it from the ownership perspective of what it was like being an investor in a restaurant, the one thing that stood out to me, And the thing that I noticed in all of my travels since then and all the places that I go to is that everything we do in restaurants is for the guest experience.
Mhm.
Everything from the ambiance to the music to the chairs to the upholstery to the training to the people we hire to the ingredients to the menus, the SOPs. It's all boils down to creating a great guest experience, right? Which actually is the reason when you look at the profit and expenses and profits and revenue, expenses, profits, whatever, and you boil that down, even below that is the guest experience, because it all comes down to that. And yet, Jill, when it comes to measuring the guest experience, which is so bizarre to me, it is just the most complex thing. You've got this receipt, right? That, like, okay, here's the receipt. And at the bottom of the receipt, it says, we care about what you think. So type in this website, type in this 26-digit code, this 5-digit store number, answer
Right.
these 34 questions to get $1 off your next burrito. And it's like, because we care about your experience. It's like, that if you're making it that hard for me, you probably don't care about my experience. And then and so the flip side of it is online reviews, right? You have these long surveys or you have these online reviews, and what happens with the online reviews is that people are 3 times more likely to share a negative experience than a positive one. Every negative experience loses you 30 customers. And so it creates a very unfair, biased situation online where you're getting a much higher percentage of your unhappy guests to leave reviews than your happy ones. And so the whole concept of Ovation was about, how do we help those happy customers that are coming in, because the majority of your customers are happy, otherwise you wouldn't be in business, to help share their experience and to give you that ovation, that standing ovation that you deserve as a business owner and as a brand ambassador. And so, and then, but still allow a frictionless way for guests to give you feedback when something goes wrong. And
Yeah.
what we find, Jill, is that people are willing to give feedback. They're just not willing to go through your 34 questions. And so what we do at Ovation is we have our 2-question survey, and then we supplement that data with all of the public reviews about your brand. And then we use technology that we've built over the last 6 years to break that down into 34 scores. So you don't need to ask 34 questions to get 34 answers.
Hmm.
And as a result of how we do it,
Hmm.
the happy customers are invited to promote your brand, to buy gift cards, to increase their recency frequency spend. And the unhappy guests, we have AI that'll help you win them back. And what we found is, an unhappy guest who doesn't get a response from Ovation or from you has a 13% likelihood of coming back in the next 18 months.
Right.
If you use our AI to respond to them, that retention rate goes from 13% to 68% likelihood of coming back. And they spend $5 more per visit. They come back more than 8 times more frequently than the average guest, and they're 12 times more likely to leave you a 5-star review than the average guest.
Love.
So I don't know what question you asked me, but I hope that answered it. you, you, you
It's like,
gave me
I don't
a little
know,
push down the hill, and I went tumbling all the way down.
I did not want to interrupt you, but I'm like, wait, you're giving away the goods. Like, I have all these questions. Oh my God. So I'm going to just
So,
back us up a little bit, because
okay,
we have a
I'm sorry.
little more time here than we
I
do.
grew up in Jersey. I think that's what you asked me, and I worked in restaurants. I get excited, Jill.
I know. I love it. And I love the passion. So I wouldn't dare stand in the way of that. Oh my goodness.
I am an unhinged guest. Okay. All right, let's get back on track, Jill. I'm sorry. Let's go back. So I actually worked in restaurants when I was younger, which is how I got into this business. Period.
Yeah, and it hooks you, right? Like, I think we restaurant people, hospitality people, we definitely are our own breed. And I think when you're infected with it when you're younger, um, there's no cure, right? Like it's just, it lives in there and breeds itself into where we want to be a part of the solution when we see problems, right? So that kind of was the next question was, what problem do you see in the market which led you to create Ovation? Like,
Yeah, the difficulty of connecting a physical business with an increasingly digital customer, right? And that chasm has just become wider and wider and wider, especially as we do more and more off-prem and to go. And people still, as we talked about on my podcast, I believe that the universal human desire is the desire to feel important. And it is so hard for people to feel important when there's no engagement, there's no interaction. It's hard to engage. And so finding a way to bridge that gap was really the main thesis. And it started off like our original tagline was live chat for physical businesses. Because you go to a website and there's a button that says, hey, chat with us here on like every website. And so that concept was to do something like that for businesses with four walls. And so that was the original concept. But then we realized that there's more nuance to it with the restaurants that we were mainly focusing on. And so we put all of our efforts into helping support the guest flow of a restaurant very, very early. So that was like a few months in, we just kind of, all right, let's build for restaurants because that's what we're passionate about. That's what we know. And that's where there's a huge need because it's challenging when when you have a QSR business, 60% of your business is drive through. How do you help that drive through guest feel important? Right?
mm,
It's hard. And one of the things that you can do is make it easy. Make it easy for them to connect with you and make it easy for you as the brand to respond to them. Right?
mm.
You got to have both. And I feel like there's some companies that do one, some companies that do other. We're obsessed with making it easy to collect and easy to respond to that feedback. And that's really that bridge that connects the digital guest and the physical business.
So I'm hearing you saying that basically the problem that you feel is the greatest is that kind of twofold. One, there's a lack of connection happening. And basically, without that connection, there's no way, in addition to the connection, the lack of connection, is being able to really have the voice of the customer, to really know what they're thinking so that you can then act on that. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
100%.
so Zach, what are the consequences that you feel like are happening as a result of these struggles that restaurants are facing due to the nature of what a restaurant is about? Especially like you say, there's so much more off-prem business, there's all this drive-through business. So what do you see the consequences of happening if this is not addressed?
Well, do you know what the average restaurant retention rate, the average guest retention rate of a restaurant is?
I
What do you
don't
think the likelihood of a guest going back to a restaurant within 18 months?
like almost nil. Like, yeah.
It's surprising. It's actually 30%.
Oh, wow.
So I've seen studies where it's 31. I've seen studies where it's 29. When we did our study, it turned out to be like spot on 30%. But
Interesting.
think about this. Think about how much work goes into finding a guest, convincing them to come in,
Mm,
maybe having to give them a promotion to come in, the time of your staff preparing their food, of serving them, of helping them have any kind of hospitality, of all the training, of all the work that goes into it. And 70% of them are never coming back.
oh my gosh, money right
That's the
out the door.
that's the problem, Jill. The problem is we don't have a leaky bucket. We got a bucket with no bottom to it. Like
Yeah.
and so any the fact is when we're bringing in so many new people every single day into our business and so many of them are walking out the door to never come back,
Mm,
the consequence of this is the fact that we don't know why. Why don't those 70% come back? Is it a service? Is it a flavor? Is it an ambiance? Is it a location? You don't know because there's no opportunity for them to give you the feedback. And people are like, well, I got a loyalty program that has feedback. Okay, well, for the 8% of people that are in your loyalty program, that's great. They're part of the 30%. What about the 70? Because
Mm,
if you could increase your guest retention by 5%, you could increase your profits 20 to 90%. And
yeah.
that's what it comes down to, is that we're losing people who aren't addressing this issue of the bottomless bucket. They are losing business hand over fist. And there are some very easy ways to plug that, but you have to put emphasis on it. You have to prioritize it,
Mhm.
because feedback is not the thing you go to at the end of the day and like just kind of like, oh, what was my profit and loss? Because that my P&L will show
Mhm.
what my guest is feeling, because they vote with their wallets. Yes, that is 3-4 months too
Too little,
late.
too late. Yeah, exactly. So, um, very interesting. And you're right. Like once your customer is out the door or gone through the drive-through, or even worse, when there's all these delivery services today and you're counting on that third party to represent you, and things are, come wrong and there's problems. Like there's so many opportunities for things to go sideways. Almost, I hate to say it, but like the chance of getting everything right becomes such a small percentage. And so, wouldn't you rather know sooner than later? Once they're out the door, you rarely have an opportunity to reconnect and to speak with that customer, unless you're lucky enough that they leave a review, even if it's and actually, if you're lucky enough that they leave a negative review, so that you can then go and fix it. Because actually,
Yes,
you will come out stronger if you show that you care, and that you show that, yes, we're human, we messed up, now we're going to make sure that you have a great experience, right? So people actually want to know
exactly.
that you care, not just always the great reviews. So how then, tell us how Ovation works to solve the problem, and how do they handle it so that it's delivered on a timely basis?
So we have over 50 integrations with online ordering and loyalty platforms and point of sale companies. So anytime there is guest data that a restaurant has, we'll send an email or a text message primarily to say, Jill, how was your experience with us? Could you answer 2 questions? And Jill clicks the link that was texted to her, and then it just says, how was everything? And if she had a great experience, we ask for we ask Jill to go and promote the brand, to leave a review, to buy a gift card, to place a catering order, to buy merch. If Jill didn't have a great experience, we're going to ask her why. And then that feedback goes instantly to the brand's team, and they can decide who it goes to, whether it's the GM, whether it's someone at support, whether they give the GM the first half hour to respond and then it gets kicked up to an area manager, whether or not AI will respond automatically to them. So there's lots of different configurations, but the key is get Jill responded to, help Jill feel heard. And she doesn't even need a a coupon necessarily to bring her back. She just needs a response. She needs to feel heard. She needs to feel important. That is so much more valuable than a $5 off. Now, if you messed up her order, we let you know. If it's an integration, you can see exactly what that order is, so you can go and refund it easily. You're not searching through anything. All the information is right there to make it super easy. And then what we do is that is how we make it right with Jill. And we'll find out how Jill comes in. Now, if Jill didn't place an online order, we use QR codes stapled to the bag for third party delivery, stickers on the table, posters on the wall, drive through window clings. There's lots of different ways that we can utilize QR codes if Jill didn't place an online order. Now, okay, we've made it right with Jill. Jill said that we were missing her sauce. All right, so we made it right with Jill. We apologize. We didn't send her a coupon. Jill was blown away that she got a response from us, because to the brand, it's an app. And so everyone has visibility into the conversation. And to Jill, it's a text conversation. So you don't have to, Jill, the customer, doesn't have to download, log in, create an account. Now, on the back end, I'm glad that we made things right with Jill. I'm glad that Jill is happy now. She's much more likely to return, to spend more, to share her experience. Now, on the flip side, I want to make sure that if that location is having problems remembering sauce, how often is this happening? And so, what we do is we take all of the feedback from public reviews and private feedback that Ovation collects, and we analyze that into 34 categories, like I said. So, you get scores at every location to know exactly how are they doing with order accuracy, with service friendliness, with attentiveness, with cleanliness, with value. And so you can say, and then we have a whole functionality that I could say, all right, the location that Jill went to is our Sheboygan location, and they have a score that is 5 points lower when it comes to order accuracy. So let's go in, retrain the team on order accuracy, track that trend at that location, and make sure that we improve that score. And now, next time Jill comes in, we're going to remember her sauce because we've retrained the team and we fixed the root problem. And that's what it comes down to. It's activating the guest, and then it's about collecting that feedback, discovering those trends, and tracking the progress of these goals to actually improve the brand.
It's so important that it's the action, right? That's so important. So often the data, as you said, is collected, but it's not addressed until way beyond when it really matters. But taking that immediate action, and you said something that really resonates with me, is that the customer feels heard. I think it is so important that everyone who touches your business, especially that end customer, but also the, of course, from my position, the employee, your first customer, that they feel significant, right? They feel important. They feel that they're there for a reason and they're appreciated. That appreciation, feeling of appreciation, is so crucial. So it sounds like Ovation really does an excellent job to make sure that each paying customer feels that they're appreciated, because we know there's plenty of competition. If they're not going to get it right at one place, no problem. I'll just go next door or down the road. Like there are plenty of options, and even in the same food category. So um, I think this understanding of the need to hear our people, to address problems immediately. And I love that it's where you're able to look globally across a brand, looking at locations, things of that nature, so that you can fix something that is showing to be a pervasive problem specifically.
And
Um,
helping the flip side of this is, with all this data, you could now celebrate your employees more, because you could send out, hey, congratulations on, our area manager, Jill, 100% response rate last week to all of her customers. Great job, Jill. Right. And so there are things that you could always celebrate, that if you don't really have access to all the people that area manager Jill has been helping as she's boots on ground training in the restaurants, but now there's data behind it. And now
mhm.
you can celebrate people, and you can celebrate locations for not just, getting them in trouble for the things they're doing wrong, but celebrating them for all the great things that they're doing and for holding true to the principles of great guest experience.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I think we touched on it in your podcast, where like, where does it go wrong? How do you make sure these values, these behaviors are reinforced and that they're actually happening? So great segue to your being a host of the podcast appropriately named Give an Ovation. And I would love for you to share with us, from your multiple amazing podcast guests, and you shared with me a few that are going to be coming on. I'm not talking about myself, but
I include you in there, Jill. Absolutely.
thank you. I'm honored for sure. I would love for you to share with us, what have you seen as maybe a top pressing problem, or a problem and a solution that you're seeing, where focusing on experience really makes a difference, where the experience becomes the solution? What are, share a couple, and it doesn't have to be just one, a couple of tips that you think others here could gain from, of what you've learned from your podcast.
So the concept of making it cool to care is so important.
Love that.
And that is something where it starts from the ground up. It starts from your pre-shift meetings. Are you celebrating the people who have done great things? Are you putting your money where your mouth is? Are you bonusing your uh your customer, your employees on things to show them what they're doing well? So one of the things that we do at Ovation, and I encourage everyone to do this in their pre-shift meetings in their brands, is we call it, and you call it whatever you want, we call it Give an Ovation. If you could see, there's like a kind of like an ovation theme. We call it Give an Ovation, where everyone that works at Ovation has a bonus every month that they have to give to somebody else. And what they do is they give it to somebody else for exhibiting one of our Ovation values. And so every month they fill out a form that says, my name is Jill. I'm giving my Ovation to Zach because he exhibited the value of be a partner, because Zach did XYZ to help me out with this and went above and beyond. And thank you, Zach. And then every month in our all hands meeting, I read who gave whom their Ovation for what. And what that does is that encourages us to catch each other doing good. And if you do that in your pre-shift meetings of like, hey, who caught someone doing something great this week? Right? And here's our, be very clear about what the values are. So every single month they have to think about the Ovation values as they go through and they check which values did this story exhibit. And it's something that has been a huge help for us, especially being a primarily virtual business, in being able to express that gratitude. And then every year on the holiday party, we fly everyone in and we actually hand out. And keep in mind, this is not like $1,000. This is $20, right? But in the holiday party, we give everyone $20, and everyone one by one stands up and gives their Ovation live, and they walk over and they hand their $20 bill to someone and they say why they got that Ovation. So anyway, I bring it up because that's a very easy way to get a trickle down effect of what's important and how do we not, hey, I did this, that's good, so give me the bonus. But it's about catching other people, which then helps to build camaraderie and teammates. Because at the end of the day, of the 330 podcasts that I've recorded so far with hospitality experts, here's what I've learned, and here's how I would define hospitality. Hospitality is proving that you care. It's that simple. Prove to your employees that you care. Prove to your guests that you care. And if you can prove that you care, and there is enough, as C.S. Lewis would kind of put it, if there's enough evidence to convict you that you care about that individual, then you've started, right? But that's where things start. So that's kind of the two philosophy and a tactic that I would say is hospitality is proving that you care, and have your employees catch each other doing good and bonus them on it.
Oh my gosh. We could just like mic drop on that one. I mean, I love it. I so agree with it. Now I know why you and I could just keep talking forever because I mean, in part of my signature talk with my third E within trust, I actually say like catch your people doing something good and reward. I literally use that. And I love that you empower them by you giving them the money to give to others. Like you make it easy. We talked before about part of customer experience is making it easy. Well, here you are making it easy for your employee experience, for them to acknowledge, for them to live the values, to keep it front of mind. Highlighting which values, so not just broad, like really thinking specifically about what those values are and how they apply, and it's going to incentivize them, not because of the $20, because of the recognition, the appreciation. It's just a basic human need of thinking, what can I do better? Like I want to be acknowledged for doing this or whatever. When they see someone else, they're like, oh, that's going to trigger, and it's contagious, right? It's going to make them also want to do. I love that so much, and to see that that's put in practice. I just think it's not enough do that. So that's absolutely incredible. Thank you for that. Really great. I was going to say, I was going to follow up with the last question, like, what's your one takeaway? What's the one activity that you would recommend for companies that they can implement immediately? And I think what you've just explained is a perfect one, and cool to be caring.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
yes, like people feel that that's a positive thing.
And
So
I'll just maybe end with this one note, something I keep on the top of my head all the time. Do good, eat well. You know what I mean? Like that's what it comes down to.
I love it. Oh, perfect way. And we have to eat well, right? We're all about
Right.
food. Do you? Oh my God, I want that hat. Where did you get it? I need that
Yeah,
hat.
these are our Ovation hats.
Oh, it is? And the
Yeah,
back,
Ovation hats.
I
The back it says "Do good, eat well."
going to get me one of those. That's fantastic. I love it.
I will send you one, Jill.
Thank you. Do good, eat well. What more can be said? What a perfect way to end this. So Zack, I'm gonna just put up here. Here's your website for everyone to explore this amazing tool, which I think has been very clear from this episode why all businesses really need this tool to increase their employee experience, their customer experience on the back end, of course. And thank you for sharing that. And likewise, if you want to reach out to Zack, Zack, where's the best place to reach you? And I have your LinkedIn
Yeah,
address on screen.
LinkedIn is great. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, Zack with a CK, Oates with an ES.
I love that. With an Zack with a CK and Oates with an ES.
Yeah, and it's Ovation. As she popped that up there, it was ovationup.com. Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Ovation Up, not just Ovation. Fantastic. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We could go on and on, but I really appreciate all your insights, sharing just your passion and your beliefs around the employee experience, the customer experience, the guest experience, the human experience, but a way that you solved it with your amazing tool with Ovation.
Yeah.
Any
Well,
parting
thank you, Jill. I just appreciate you having me on and appreciate you being such a great voice for the employee and the guest experience.
Well, thank you. Likewise. And I'm so glad that you passed by at that party that I saw you, and Janice knew you to introduce us. So
Thank you, Janice.
I will thank her again. Yes, absolutely. Look forward to more conversations with you, Zack, as we both pioneer in this awesome world, in the restaurant world and CX. And thank you again for being here today.
Thank you, Jill.
So, wow, amazing, right? Like so much to learn, so much to be inspired from. Hope everyone will look up Ovation, look up Zack, use some of these thoughts, ideas. Even if you're not ready for a tool like that, which I'm sure Zack would work out anything with you to use that. There's so much that you could have learned, that you will have gained just from hearing this conversation. So thank you again for joining us today on Celebrity Customer Experience, and we look forward to having you back again next time.